know when it is we are going to see Caitlin Clark back on a basketball court with other participants. This is going to be rather interesting because we are going to see Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Bueckers all playing together.
So there I was, scrolling through my feed, and suddenly, bam, a training video dropped that nobody saw coming. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Bueckers all together at USA Basketball's senior national team camp. The internet absolutely lost its mind. And honestly, I get it. These three elite players united for the first time in an official capacity, and the footage is everywhere. This isn't just some casual gym session, you know? This is a statement about the absolute future of women's basketball. Fans are going wild, and for good reason. It makes you wonder, are you more excited about seeing these three together, or are you a little worried about what this means for international competition? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.
Here on ESPN, there was an article put up. Shout out to Alexa Philippou. You be on it, girl. Alexa, you be on it, girl. You be on it. Here it says, Caitlin Clark, Paige Bueckers, Angel Reese, and Juju Watkins will be among the 10 players making their USA Basketball senior national team camp debut.
The internet officially broke last week when footage surfaced of Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Bueckers training together at USA Basketball's senior national team camp. And let's be clear, this isn't some random pickup game in a park. This was an official USA Basketball training camp happening at Duke University from December 12th to the 14th. The implications here are massive, and the entire basketball community is still trying to process what this actually means for the future of women's basketball on the international stage.
The 18 participants also include former Olympians and World Cup gold medalist Chelsea Gray, Brittany Griner, Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, and Kalia Copper, plus 3-on-3 Olympian De'Erica Hamby. Bree Jones, a member of the 2022 World Cup team, was also named to the training camp squad, while 2023 #1 draft pick.
Let's just take a step back and understand what's actually happening here. USA Basketball held this training camp specifically to evaluate players for the 2026 FIBA Women's World Cup. The newly appointed managing director Sue Bird, and talk about an iconic name in the game, is tasked with building a team that's aiming for their 5th straight World Cup gold medal. That's not just a casual selection process. That's legacy hunting. That's trying to maintain one of the most dominant winning streaks in the history of international sports.
Now, we talked about the fact that Team USA, I believe it is in March, is going to play, I believe, in some qualifiers. That's probably when we're going to get to see Caitlin Clark play actual meaningful basketball again. But training camp is coming. The senior camp is coming. And it's coming.
The roster for this camp reads like a who's who of current and former elite talent. You've got Chelsea Gray there, bringing all her Olympic and World Cup gold medal experience. Brittany Griner, arguably the most dominant force in women's basketball globally, is in attendance. Kelsey Plum, bringing her championship pedigree. Jackie Young, representing the new generation of WNBA talent. And Kay Copper, a consistent performer at the highest levels, rounding out that veteran presence. The camp also includes 3x3 Olympian De'Erica Hamby and Alana Smith, who won gold at the 2022 World Cup.
Here's the juicy parts. The training camp will serve as an evaluation opportunity. As newly minted USA Women's National Team Managing Director Sue Bird is tasked with naming a team for 2026's FIBA World Cup in September of 2026, where the USA will go for its 5th straight World Cup gold medal. I don't know who will broadcast that, but if Caitlin Clark is on those teams...
But here's where it gets really interesting, and probably why you clicked on this video. This camp is also featuring some of the most exciting young talent in basketball. We're talking about Aaliyah Boston, the 2023 #1 overall WNBA draft pick, who was expected to be there. Cameron Brink, Lauren Betts, Sony Centron, Kiki Rice, Rickea Jackson, and Veronica Burton are all making their USA Basketball senior national team camp debuts. Several of these players have already won gold medals with USA Basketball in junior competitions, which honestly just speaks volumes about the pipeline of excellence that keeps feeding the senior program. Now, the three names that have everyone talking are Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Bueckers. These three players represent something truly unique in women's basketball. They are, without a doubt, the generation that has elevated the WNBA to mainstream attention. They are the players who made women's basketball must-watch television. They are the athletes who transformed viewing habits and brought new demographics into professional women's sports. The fact that they're training together at an official USA Basketball senior camp is genuinely historic. Caitlin Clark, man, she's become a global phenomenon. Her scoring ability, her court vision, her uncanny knack for performing in high-pressure moments, all of it has made her one of the most marketable athletes in sports right now. She's carried the WNBA into conversations it had never been part of before. Corporate America took notice. International basketball scouts took notice. Every single basketball fan on the planet took notice. When Clark plays, people watch. That's just a fact. Angel Reese, on the other hand, has established herself as one of the premier two-way players in women's basketball. Her defense is suffocating. Her ability to operate in the post and finish around the rim is elite. And her competitive fire? It's unmatched. Reese brings an intensity to the court that's infectious. She makes everyone around her play harder. That's the kind of player who wins championships at every level she's played. And then there's Paige Bueckers. She represents versatility and skill at an incredibly high level. Her ability to play multiple positions, her range from three-point distance, her playmaking ability, all of it combines to make her one of the most complete players in the league. Bueckers can take over games when she needs to, but she's also comfortable playing a supporting role. That kind of flexibility is absolutely invaluable in international basketball, where rosters have to adapt to different opponents and playing styles. The fact that these three are now training together in an official USA Basketball capacity changes everything about how international women's basketball will look over the next few years. When you combine their talent, their marketability, and their competitive drive, you're looking at something that could fundamentally reshape how people around the world view women's basketball. It's a game changer. The training camp itself is being led by the newly appointed national team head coach Cheryl Reeve, who also happens to be the head coach at Duke University. She's bringing WNBA assistant coaches into the fold, which really speaks to how seriously USA Basketball is taking this evaluation process. Natalia Tatsi, Nate Tibbetts, and Stephanie White are on the coaching staff. These aren't random selections. These are some of the most respected coaches in women's basketball. People who have proven they can develop talent and execute complex systems. The coaching setup indicates that USA Basketball is approaching this World Cup cycle with the same intensity and professionalism that has made the American women's program the gold standard for decades. The camp is designed to evaluate talent, build chemistry, teach systems, and identify which combination of players gives the United States the best chance to win in 2026. And Sue Bird's appointment as managing director is, honestly, significant. Bird is one of the greatest point guards to ever play the game. She won multiple Olympic gold medals. She won WNBA championships. She understands what it takes to compete at the highest level, and what separates good international teams from great ones. Bird isn't going to accept anything less than excellence in the selection and preparation process. The viral nature of that training video really reveals something important about the current state of women's basketball. People want to see these players. People are curious about how they interact when they're training together. People recognize that these are among the best basketball players on the planet, and they want to witness that excellence up close. The fact that a training video generated significant social media buzz shows how hungry the basketball community is for content featuring elite female athletes. And the timing of this camp is particularly interesting, right? The WNBA season ends in November, giving players a brief off-season before jumping into USA Basketball commitments. The camp happens in mid-December, right during the holiday season, when casual sports fans often have more time to consume basketball content. And then, the real evaluation begins with qualifiers happening in March. If Clark, Reese, and Bueckers are selected for those qualifiers, the viewership numbers could absolutely explode. The international basketball calendar is intense. There are qualifiers in March, there's the World Cup in September, and in 2028 there are the Olympics. The schedule is packed, and the talent pool USA Basketball has to choose from is deeper than it's been in recent memory. The challenge for Sue Bird and the coaching staff is narrowing down which players give the team the best chance to win on the biggest stages. What makes this particular moment special is the combination of veteran experience and young talent. USA Basketball isn't just building for 2026, they're building for the long term. They're evaluating which young players can step into prominent roles as the veterans from this era eventually retire. Clark, Reese, and Bueckers represent the future foundation of women's international basketball. Their performance in this camp could determine not just 2026, but 2028 and beyond. Imagine this: a potential Team USA lineup that could feature Clark, Reese, and Bueckers, alongside veterans like Griner, Gray, and Plum. That would be genuinely terrifying from an international perspective. Imagine trying to defend against that combination of talent, athleticism, and basketball IQ. You'd need an absolutely perfect game plan, executed flawlessly. Even then, the margins for error would be razor thin. The competitive environment at Duke during this camp is going to be intense. These are all elite players who want to prove they deserve to represent their country on the world's biggest stages. Nobody wants to waste their time training if they don't believe they have a legitimate shot at making the final roster. The competition within practice will probably be more physically demanding than most regular season games. That's just the standard at this level of international basketball. The coaching staff will be taking detailed notes on everything. Who commands respect in the gym? Who elevates the play of their teammates? Who makes winning plays in high-pressure situations? Who handles setbacks and criticism productively? Who's in the best physical condition? Who demonstrates the kind of basketball IQ required to execute sophisticated offensive and defensive schemes? All of these factors go into the evaluation process. One interesting detail I came across is that Juju Watkins from USC is also making her debut at the senior camp. Watkins was the National Player of the Year last season, which indicates USA Basketball is casting a wide net to evaluate talent. Now, Watkins is recovering from an ACL tear, so she won't be participating in on-court activities, but just being invited to observe and learn about the program is significant. It shows USA Basketball is thinking about the development pipeline and who might contribute down the road. The media coverage of this training camp will be substantial if videos keep surfacing online. Fans are hungry for content, and organizations know how to feed that appetite. Behind-the-scenes footage, drill work, competitive segments, coaching moments, all of it becomes content that gets distributed across social media platforms. The viral nature of Clark, Reese, and Bueckers training together virtually guarantees that high-quality footage will make its way into the public domain. The implications for international women's basketball are enormous. Other countries are watching this unfold too. They're seeing who's in that Duke gym, training together. They're trying to figure out what the United States is building. They're making adjustments to their own programs and player development strategies. The entire landscape of international women's basketball is shaped by what USA Basketball does, because frankly the Americans have dominated for so long that other countries are always playing catch-up. But this is also a moment where the women's basketball community recognizes these athletes deserve the same level of investment, resources, and attention that men's basketball receives. The training camp at Duke with an elite coaching staff, the evaluation process led by someone of Sue Bird's caliber, the security and privacy measures to protect player development, all of it demonstrates that women's basketball is being treated with the same professionalism as men's basketball at the international level. The narrative around this training video going viral is important too. It's not just about the basketball itself, it's about visibility and representation. When videos of elite female athletes training together go viral on social media, it normalizes women's sports as content worth consuming and sharing. It builds audience investment in their performances. It creates anticipation for future competitions. For young female basketball players watching these videos, it's inspirational. They see Caitlin Clark training with elite competition. They see Angel Reese pushing herself physically and mentally. They see Paige Bueckers executing complex basketball concepts. These young players see a roadmap for what their own development might look like if they commit to the sport at the highest level. The 2026 World Cup represents an opportunity for women's basketball to continue its momentum building. If Team USA wins and features Clark, Reese, and Bueckers prominently, the visibility and marketability of women's basketball reaches new heights. The tournament could attract record viewership numbers. Sponsorship opportunities multiply. The narrative around these players and their global impact expands significantly. Looking ahead to March's qualifying games, the basketball world will be waiting to see who actually gets selected and how these teams perform. Will Clark start? Will Reese get major minutes? Will Bueckers have a featured role? How will these players perform when they're elevated to the international stage? These questions will drive massive viewership if the games are broadcast properly and promoted effectively. The practical reality is that if ESPN or another major broadcaster decides to air these qualifiers in the World Cup, and if Clark is featured prominently, the viewership numbers could shock the sports industry. Women's basketball has proven it can generate massive audiences when the marketing and promotion are done right. A World Cup featuring some of the most talented and marketable athletes in sports could legitimately compete with other major sporting events for audience attention. That viral training video represents a turning point moment. It's the moment when casual fans and serious basketball enthusiasts alike recognize that women's basketball at the elite level has evolved into something truly special. The talent level, the athleticism, the skill, the competitiveness, it all meets and exceeds what many people expected from women's basketball. These aren't athletes trying their best. These are elite professionals operating at championship levels. That USA Basketball training camp at Duke could reshape women's basketball forever. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Bueckers training together officially is just the beginning. The 2026 World Cup qualifiers are coming in March, and if these three get selected, the viewership will be massive. This is what the future of women's basketball looks like. Drop your predictions in the comments.